Okay, after a bit of lag, we should be in. The live is on. Okay, apologies everyone for a minor setback there with our LinkedIn Live, but welcome to Redeployable LinkedIn Live's first episode, so our live lesson episode 1. So as we just get this rolling, we do have a little bit of a lag sometimes, so as people start to join, we'll just wait for a little minute. But in the meantime, I'll look to get into a little introduction to who I am, who Redeployable is as a business, and what the live lessons are going to look like moving ahead. So the way these usually work are really beneficial if everyone's quite engaged within the comments. So on the stream section, if you want to let anyone know who you are and where you're tuning in for, you usually get quite a good array of people for potential networking. So go ahead over there and just let us know who you are and where you're checking in from. So LinkedIn Live Lessons Episode 1 with me. I'm Ellis Greenway and I am the Head of Business Development and Partnerships over at Redeployable. My background is that I was in the Royal Marines for 7 years before leaving, and Redeployable is a business that is really pretty much born from a passion of preventing underemployment after leaving the military. So we're quite steadfast on our approach and looking that the military community isn't one that needs a sob story or a charity case. It's actually about using your military experience as your competitive advantage. So whether you're an individual or whether you are a business that's looking to utilize people with a military background, that is your competitive edge. And so we're here to talk about that a little bit more today. So how does this live lesson run? So they are going to be slightly different moving forward. So the first one is just with me. I'm going to be teeing up the rest of the series. We're going to talk a little bit about some of my experiences, some quick top tips, and we're going to get stuck into some questions moving forward. So episode 1, this is your opportunity just to ask me any questions straight off the bat. So if you want to go and shoot over to our Slido, that'll be popping up soon. It's an anonymous way that you can engage with me and engage with anyone else within the stream who's watching. So any questions that you might have, feel free to send them over in there. And who could this be good for? So if you're questioning whether these live lessons with Redeployable are going to be a benefit to you, I'll kind of address that now. So if you are a service leaver or you're currently serving in the military, obviously at some point you are going to leave, even those lifers out there. Whether you are in your resettlement period, you have put your chit in, you've gone through your 7 clicks to heaven, wherever you are in your leaving process, this is a great opportunity for you to start asking some questions with some real experts who will be joining me in the future, and anyone else within our team, as well as me. And I've been doing this for a little bit of time now. So great for you to get an idea about how you should start teeing up your resettlement process. What are the top tips? What processes should you be looking at and maximizing, and engaging with a variety of guests that will be coming on with me too. So if you're a service leaver, great opportunity. Now, also, if you're a veteran, if you've already left the military, if you've got your military experience, you're now within a role, a specific function, industry, whether you're looking to excel in that vertical, in that function, or whether you're looking for a career change, this is a great opportunity with you to understand what opportunities are out there, what businesses are looking for people with your skill sets, and how to make the most of that, really. So no matter where you're at with your military experience, your journey, your past, it's a great opportunity for you in these live lessons. And now for organizations too. So if you are part of an organization that has been toying with the idea of utilizing a kind of a military hiring initiative, whether you've got military veterans within your business now and you're looking at how can we improve our retention, how can we be better placed within the ex-military community to start bringing in more veterans in, this is also a great opportunity for you to ask some questions around how do you get started with those initiatives, how do you improve them, and how to basically better position yourself as a business to become an employer of choice within the ex-military and the armed forces community. So that's what I'm going to be covering. I'm going to have some really exciting guests coming on with me as well. You won't just be listening to my mundane, boring voice every single time. We're going to have great experts in, so people who are talent specialists, people specialists, as well as veterans themselves. So whether they have or haven't got military experience is kind of irrelevant in these. It's people who've got specific expertise within their field. So they'll be joining me, and it'll be giving you a chance to kind of get and pick the mind of experts who are actively involved within this community, So look forward to them. We'll be letting you know kind of a bit ahead of time who's going to be joining us on sessions. Great things to start thinking about. So now I'm going to get into a little bit about what might be a few top tips for me for any service leavers who are tuning in and trying to get an idea of where they're at. So, and then after that, we're going to start getting some questions over. So we've got Annabelle, who is our marketing manager, who's back end here helping me out with everything. So if you could go and give her a warm welcome as well, that'd be great. But Annabelle, if we could get our Slido set up, that'd be fantastic. So I can see our questions popping through. And here we go. You should see it live now. A little introduction to our Slido. Fantastic, Annabelle. Thank you. So now you should have a little Slido on your screen with a QR code. If you scan that, you'll be able to ask any questions. I'll be able to see them. So don't be shy with that. Anything you want to ask, start firing them away, and I'll get to them. I'll keep looking at them as we're going through the stream, but I'll also kind of be talking a bit about my experiences in the meantime as well. So, what are some of my top tips for any first service leavers or veterans? And then I'll go into some top tips for businesses as well. This will only be a short couple of minute kind of period as we go into some more Q&As. So, what would one of my absolute top tips be? This is one that you hear all the time. It is networking. It is a bit of a buzzword now because everyone recommends it, but there is a reason for that. It is so powerful. You want to be starting doing this. Like, there is no early point to when you should start building your network. If you could start doing it on your week one, day one of whatever service you joined, that would be great. I know that all of us were not thinking about that, and you probably shouldn't be thinking about leaving at those early stages, but just the point is that it's never too early. So how do you actually start networking? Anyone who's watching this as we're streaming to LinkedIn means you are on LinkedIn. It will be going across some of our other platforms as well. So, but for everyone here right now, you will be on LinkedIn. So build your profile out properly. There's nothing worse than seeing someone who we know has got exemplary experience within the military. They've done some amazing things. They could translate it so well into civilian talk or resonate with civilian employers, but their profile has no pictures on it. It just says I did X amount of years in the military. No one's going to understand that. So take some time to build out your LinkedIn profile properly. That is effectively your opportunity to do more than what just a CV can do. You can input your skills in there. You can get recommendations put down in the bottom, which are so strong. Just make sure that you've got the time to really build that out. It's if someone's, or you imagine someone who's part of a recruitment team, and you've got a ton of applications for these sought after roles, and they're going to quickly jump into a LinkedIn. What looks better? One that's someone who's taken a ton of time to fill it out properly, or someone who has basically gone to the bare minimum. So no one knows you, no one understands you, no one is going to be the harsh truth is no one is going to be specifically going out their way just to find you as an individual. So think about what you can do to make yourself kind of stand out from the crowd, and that comes with really taking a lot of time and being diligent with your LinkedIn profile. So get that squared away before you start reaching out to people. Make sure your headline says, who are you, what do you do, what are you looking for in your summary. If you're open to opportunities, let people be known that. Make the use of the banners, and then start maxing out those connection requests. Find people who are experts in the field that you want to be part of, or anyone who's got a similar background. One of the best things about being part of the military community and the armed forces community is how much everyone is willing to help. It doesn't mean you should go into it like with this idea of kind of soaking up everyone's time. Like, go into these networking opportunities with the like a genuine mindset to provide value at every opportunity. Everything is reciprocal. So look to add value, look to be a force for good. It will come back tenfold. And try not to kind of like misuse people and their time, but be bold when you're going up to people, whether that's virtual or in real life. Be direct, let people know, exactly where you're at, what you're looking for, how you think that they might be able to help you. Ask them for a little bit of their time, and just be willing to kind of repay that back as well. So that would be what I would look at from a networking point of view. Great starting points. Building your LinkedIn profile out properly and start maxing out your connection requests. Be direct with people. Say what you're after and what your position is, and look at exponentially growing your network. So not just who can you directly kind of get to yourself, but if you ask every single person you speak to, do you know one or two people who you think I would get value from meeting? That's a great tip to start branching out exponentially. Okay, so we're starting to have a few questions roll in here about transition time, difference between a recruiter and a talent consultant, are both connecting and happy to do so, but don't understand the different function. Okay, we can get into that one as well. I'll start taking these away actually. So, and then if the questions dry up a little bit, I'll get back to some other top tips. So I'll start tackling these. So our latest question then, we as veterans are used to working as a team, but networking, you're on your own. Networking events create a fear. How do they overcome this? How do you overcome fears of networking? Networking is a really interesting one, right? People tend to be, it's either their favorite part of an event or it's their most dreaded part of an event. And I think a lot of that comes down to confidence. Quite often, confidence comes down to experience. If you are experienced in it, you'll start to be more confident because you've already walked that path. You've already done it, 100 times. And you realize there's actually nothing you should really be scared about when approaching people, as long as you do it in a polite way and you're, like I say, you're direct and you're looking to offer value, then get over the fear by just taking the leap a little bit. Have a bit of a routine set out in your head. If you've got a virtual or a real life business card where you can just be in and out quickly, usually it's that kind of awkward point of not really knowing what to say and how long to stay. But if you can go in and out nice and quick, have a bit of your your own elevator pitch on who you are and what you're looking for, have that already. It means to connect. So your virtual or real business card and your LinkedIn QR code, which you can pop up if you go in your search bar, you can connect with people quickly, and then you can look to follow up on that virtually a little bit further down the line. That's how I would recommend getting over your fears with that. So Annabelle, if we could tick that one off, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. Hopefully I've answered that question. Thinking about your own transition out of the military, is there anything that you would have done differently? So my personal transition out of the military, I think it's one of these where you sometimes say that you got lucky, but generally I had a really positive experience throughout mine. I started in this position where I didn't know, with my skill set, leaving as a head of military training, looking at mostly kind of marksmanship and soldiering skills, what is my value going to be out in the civilian marketplace in the world of employment? I didn't really understand that. So before I even put my chit in, I was kind of hesitant, and I was looking at where should I start looking, who's even going to want me. So I started looking very early on and started kind of throwing my name into the hat for different opportunities. What I wish I would have done or had even known about is that there are specialists in this sphere. I didn't know of any military specific organizations that were helping support people. But ultimately, you break this down very candidly. All these organizations, businesses, charities are motivated to help you. So not in a selfish way, but utilize that. These people are experts. I wish I would have probably taken the time to find some, reach out to them and understand where my skill set fitted from someone who was a specialist, a market expert within employment, and looking at my skill set as someone who was leaving the armed forces. So I didn't understand that. I was kind of off on my own solo, winging it. It did work out for me. However, I wish I would probably have had some more support, because I think I downplayed my skill set and what I was capable of doing. As we talk about underemployment, that was something I probably potentially put myself in a position for by taking a salary cut and looking at what my options were. Ultimately, it worked out for me. I left and got a recruitment consultant position, and that started really where I started to pave my path for what I wanted to do and figure out my career, the parts that I enjoyed from it, the parts that I didn't. And another one of my top tips would have been to find mentors and coaches. There was, and this goes directly kind of transfers to a top tip for businesses, is take the time to understand who you're speaking to within the hiring process. I was fortunate enough to have a few offers on the table, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind me mentioning him, a gentleman by the name of Jason Saunders, who brought me into the loop up in my first recruitment consultant firm, really took the time to understand who he was speaking to, which I hadn't had yet throughout any of my other hiring processes. He understood my time in the Marines, some different awards that I got. Him demonstrating his willingness to understand my past made me trust him going forward, that he knew what I was about, what I wanted, and who he was going to be dealing with. And I felt that his interests were aligned with mine ultimately. So there's a few different tips in there. If you're a service leaver or a veteran, find yourself some mentors, find yourself some coaches. And if you're a business, take the time to understand who you're speaking to. It might seem like a silly a silly little thing to anyone who's a internal talent person. When you've got someone who might have been from any of the Tri services, but you start calling them something else, people are proud about where they've come from. So take the time to understand their background and address that. As far as coaches go, I think he might be watching this live now, but Chris Reeves, the performance and wellbeing coach, he's my personal coach. No doubt I will have a call with him straight after this where he'll give me the candid and open and honest truth and help me reflect, as he always has done. He's been absolutely invaluable to me when I look at what I want to do personally and professionally. I never understood what I was missing out on until I had it. So Chris, a personal thank you, and anyone else who wants to speak to Chris about that, I would massively kind of advise that you go and do that. So find your coaches, find your mentors, businesses, be the mentors and be the coaches. A bit of a long-winded one there, apologies. Cool. So what is the difference between a recruiter and a talent consultant? I'm both connecting and happy to do so, but don't understand the different function. Ultimately, they're probably not very different. There's quite a lot of names for this out there. You'll have whether they're internal recruiters, recruitment consultants, talent acquisition. Acquisition is usually internal, so it'll be people representing from a business themselves. If someone's a recruiter or a recruitment consultant, they're probably going to be in a third-party agency, whether they're looking to reach out to you for their own business development on part of their firm, if you're more senior and a hiring manager, or whether you're an individual that they're looking to place into another role. Ultimately, there isn't much difference. If you have a look on their profile, if it looks like they're part of a individual business, means they're probably going to be talent acquisition looking to hire inward. If they're part of an agency, they're probably looking to put you somewhere else. Hopefully that answers that question. Stats on underemployment, I don't have any on me right to hand right now. This one's anonymous, but if anyone wants to go and find me on LinkedIn as well and go and connect with me over there, anything that I can't answer now, I will get an answer to your question over to. So go and connect with me. Let me know that you've asked that question, because I obviously can't see if it's anonymous, and I will get you some stats that we do have. It will just take me a couple of minutes, and we haven't got too long on this live, but I will get that out and I'll bring them on to the next live as well. So Annabelle, if we could click away with that one, that'd be fantastic. Okay, the difficulty I've noticed is the transition period, especially translating mill speak to civ speak. Yeah, I mean, it says it right there anyway, mill speak to civ speak. Some people aren't even going to understand that in the civilian world. But it's a huge transition. It's absolutely normal that it's difficult. It's not always going to be easy. There's loads of, you've built a whole framework and understanding of a very specific demographic who've gone through the same process you've gone through to being there. So the military is some of the most diverse place you will ever find in some areas, but what brings you all together, which is one of the huge positives, is the process you've got to be where you're at. Which means that you often have some similar ways of thinking when you're kind of looking at even what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, which means it's quite easy, I guess, to resonate with people. I'm not saying that you always find people who you get along with in the military, but there is always common ground. You don't have that in the civilian world. You'll find people who are very different. It can be quite frustrating at times. I noticed how, kind of previous in the military, I wouldn't have to do multiple email follow-ups to try and get something done. It's just part of way of life. I think there's a real key point around accepting that it's different, embracing that change, and it doesn't have to be something negative. It can be something that you can see as a positive, where you're kind of expanding your experience of the working world out of one very specific organization, either the military or a very specific service. So I would just embrace that a little bit more head on. I think it also goes hand in hand with this idea of kind of imposter syndrome, which is another whole topic which we get into quite a lot, which is I still speak to board members now who have been a senior person within a business and C-suite for decades, and sometimes they still sit in a boardroom and think, why are they talking to me? I'm just smudge from wherever in the military, and they realize they're not. They're perfectly qualified. So and as are you. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to. It takes some active thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it. But translating that speak, I think what you could do specifically for this is look at people who are civilian or successfully transitioned already, and look at how they position it, how they literally translate certain roles. So Obviously, I can't see who you are or what you've done, but for example, if you are someone who has run ranges, you've run battle exercises, you're already doing project management, you're already doing logistics, you're already doing people management. So you weren't just running range packages, you were actually a project manager. I wasn't just a section commander, I was a team leader. Those kind of things. Look at where you can simply start, I guess, just changing the language itself, but use good profiles, solid people who are quite experienced to reach out to in your field, and how they actually go around doing that. So hopefully that one answers your question. If it doesn't, you want anything more specific, that one's had a few thumbs up. Let me know. Okay, so top 2 done. What's the one skill you think, where's that moved up, most valuable that military candidates bring to the table? Okay, so someone quite biased here. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing this job if I didn't think that there was tons and tons that military people bring to the table. I don't know where to start with that. There's so many. I think resilience is one. Leadership is one. The ability to work in teams, communication. There's so many fantastic skills that everyone in the military will have got through the nature of just being in the military. The learning curve from day one is so steep. So if you think about how that might help you within your business, you've got people who've gone through such steep learning curves. They've learned so much under high pressure environments. They're probably not going to be phase too quickly. You've got a calm, level head, which when everything is, everything feels like it's on fire around you, someone just to be a little bit cheerful. Cheerfulness in the face of adversity is a big one, especially for us as royals out there. It's huge just to have a level head, someone who's resilient, can kind of bring back a sense of calm across things and attack things very pragmatically. There's a ton of value that I think veterans bring to the table. There's some quite good stats out there when you look at what the difference, the positive difference that it makes bringing veterans in as part of your team. That is on the government's recent publication, which is around hiring veterans into small businesses, which is on the government website. So definitely take a look at that. And LinkedIn have done quite a good one, more focused on the American market as well. If anyone wants those, again, reach out to me on LinkedIn and I'll get you some links sent over for them. Okay, if hopefully that answers that question, but feel free if anyone wants to build out on that one a little bit more. For the transition of CVs, get in touch with me. A couple of options. Tim, massive thanks for that shout out there. Super helpful. Anyone else, if you want to shout out, I can't actually see the comments on LinkedIn right now. If you are putting questions in there, I'll try and jump on in a second. But Tim, thanks for shouting that one out. Like I said earlier, this is a great place to start networking. So yeah, Tim, thanks. And if everyone else could follow that example, it's massively appreciated for me and everyone else in here. So is Glassdoor the best place to understand your value, or is there a better one? I wouldn't say anywhere specifically is the best place. Like a website isn't going to tell you your value or understand your value. There's people you can reach out to, but I think you need to change, maybe look at it. Sounds like that comes from almost like a negative starting standpoint, is like, I need to go somewhere to understand my value. Why not start that process internally to understand your own value? Look at what you've done, look at everything that you've accomplished. I think we're often a bit guilty of being almost like quite humble beings at times, and not that that's absolutely a bad thing, but putting ourselves in those positions where we don't value how much our experience and our knowing and our skills and our qualifications, how strong and how valuable they are in the civilian marketplace. So before you go reaching out to a website to tell you how valuable you are, take a bit of time to understand what you think your values are. If it's some sort of journaling method where you look at what you've done, what you've accomplished, what you're really proud of, start somewhere like that, I would recommend, unless you mean value specifically or on a monetary level where you should be looking at salaries, where everything I just said might not be as applicable. So if that's what you're getting at, let me know, and I'll scratch everything that I've just waffled on about for a minute there. Okay, being nervous attending networking events will be nerve-wracking, and this is totally natural, but ask yourself, how is being skeptical treating you by not going? I know exactly who wrote that. How is being skeptical treating you? Something that I've heard quite a lot. Such a fantastic phrase. And absolutely bang on with this one. There is nothing positive over you being skeptical about your approach going to these networking events. So embrace that, be positive, and like we said earlier, have a little pitch ready, have your networking card ready, get in, get out. You'll find it so easy, that everyone's so friendly. and it'll just become a thing of nature, and you'll really start to enjoy that process, meeting new people. There's so many amazing people at these networking events. We've hosted some of our own ones. We'll be attending quite a few over the course of the year that we'll be putting out on the Redeployable site. So come and speak to us if you want any advice with them, whether they're in person or on here. Let us know. But that is about rounding up our time for this first LinkedIn Live Lessons, episode 1. Hope that everyone is tuned in, has got a good understanding now of what these lessons are going to be moving forward, how they're going to take place, and who we might be having on. Hopefully everyone sees some value in it. And thanks again for all your questions and the engagement throughout. As we grow, I'm sure this audience will start building. So really looking forward to that. But thanks everyone for your time. Thanks for tuning in. And we will see you in a couple of weeks for Live Lessons episode 2. Cheers.